Hello, I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to highlights of the 2011 Formula SimRacing World Championship. Round 10 of the championship is the Grand Prix of Germany, this year taking place at the Nürburgring. The scene of a highly controversial FSR race back in 2009, this track has a horrendously sharp opening corner and is mainly composed of medium-speed turns with plenty of straights. After having to start from the back of the grid in Britain, Bono Huis achieved pole position, edging out Atsej Kirchhoff by over a tenth of a second. An incredible result from Lee Morris had the Englishman in third place for the new Ward F1 team, ahead of Fredrik Nilsson for Twister Racing. Dennis Hurl set his best qualifying result of the season in 5th, and Blair Disley would start from 6th on the grid. Mikko Puumalainen made it into the top 10 ahead of Morgan Moran, making it a strong result for both the Matcor and ATR Silverline teams. Jarkko Miekkinen qualified in 9th, with Patrick de Wit rounding out the top 10. To the race start, and all of the front runners had an equal launch off the line, with the first 4 drivers moving into single file for the run down into turn 1. Into the braking zone, Disley broke a touch earlier than his teammate Moran was expecting, and the Frenchman spun and lost control of his car. Fortunately, most of the drivers managed to avoid contact, with only Paresis and De Matos suffering damage. De Wit's race lasted only 4 corners, with the lone faster-than-speed car losing traction on the corner exit and collecting Jack Keithley as he slammed into the barriers. It was race over for both De Wit and Keithley. Meanwhile, Miekkinen had made an impressive start, moving up into 6th place as he passed Puumalainen around turn 6, and a half-hearted passing attempt from Paresis had the Ghost Speed driver into the gravel, dropping down into 14th. On the second lap, a small tap from Morgan Moran sent Martin Gosby into a spin, damaging his rear wing and sending him to the back of the field. As Bono Huis and Atsej Kirchhoff ran away with the top 2 positions, Fredrik Nilsson got a great run on Lee Morris down the back straight and made an easy pass into the chicane. Further behind, Jarkko Miekkinen ran wide at the exit of turn 2 and nearly became stuck on the high curb, losing 6th place back to Puumalainen. On lap 10, Reino Room took the defensive line against Jon-Erik Saxon, with both vehicles going side by side into the first turn. Some classy driving had the 2 drivers remain alongside each other through the opening 4 corners, with Saxon ultimately prevailing after pulling off an impressive overtake. Further ahead, Dennis Hurl got into Lee Morris's slipstream, and braking extremely late, Hurl made the pass for 4th into the chicane. 2 laps later, Morgan Moran challenged Reino Room into the hairpin and made the pass stick to move inside the top 10. In the race lead, Bono Huis seemed to be evenly paced with Atsej Kirchhoff in 2nd, but with a small gap between the 2 drivers, Kirchhoff had no opportunity to pass. Fredrik Nilsson continued in 3rd place, unable to catch his teammate, and Dennis Hurl remained in 4th position. In 5th, it was becoming apparent that Lee Morris's surprising qualifying performance was in part due to his soft tyre selection, and with the tyres graining, he was coming under all sorts of pressure from Mikko Puumalainen. In 8th, Jarkko Miekkinen was struggling to fend off Blair Disley, and eventually he succumbed to the pressure, with Disley passing him around the outside. Jon-Erik Saxon was close behind in 9th, and Morgan Moran lost his 10th place after a spin dropped him back down behind Reino Room and Mohammed Patel. Further behind, De Matos, Gosby and Paresis were struggling on with damaged cars, and Tony Heikkinen remained in the final position. Unfortunately, both Heikkinen and Martin Gosby crashed out in an almost identical incident, using too much curb on the exit of the hairpin and slamming into the barriers. With his tyres shot, Lee Morris was on the ragged edge trying to keep Puumalainen behind. The Matcor driver made several attempts at passing, but Morris refused to relinquish his position. After several side-by-side moments, Puumalainen eventually made the pass around the outside of turn 10. Morris's race then suffered another blow when he was penalised for lifting off his pit limiter too early after his scheduled stop, and he was handed a drive-through penalty. In 2nd place, Atsej Kirchhoff couldn't close enough to Bono Huis for a passing attempt. With a pit stop being potentially his only opportunity, Kirchhoff decided to pit first, but on his in-lap a small mistake into the chicane cost him a couple of seconds, and he lost any chance of leapfrogging the race leader. The difficult Nürburgring circuit continued to catch drivers out. Reino Room spanned just before his pit stop, and Morgan Moran locked up into the opening corner, dropping him behind Mohammed Patel. Moran didn't waste any time retaking the position, making a pass later on in the lap. After serving his drive-through penalty, Lee Morris was now in 12th place, just behind Patel. Unfortunately, Patel closed the door when Morris attempted to outbrake his fellow Briton, and the result was a nasty collision with the barriers for the Ward F1 car. Having yet to make his pit stop, Dennis Hurl was in the race lead, and when Bono Huis caught up to the back of his unofficial teammate, Hurl lifted off the throttle to avoid holding up Huis. However, Adsej Kirchhoff would have to fight his way around the Matcord driver, and he lost valuable seconds trying to find a way past Hurl. After 2 laps, Kirchhoff eventually made a pass stick. On lap 39, Morgan Moran had yet another spin, only this time it would prove to be terminal, the ATR Silverline car becoming beached in the gravel trap. Renault Room also had another off-track excursion, breaking his front wing and being forced to make a second stop. As the race drew to a close, Kirchhoff seemed to be slightly faster than Kuijs, but with the lap counter running down, he couldn't close the gap quick enough. Having been beaten by Kirchhoff in the previous round, Bono Kuijs reasserted his dominance, winning the German Grand Prix by 2.5 seconds from Adsej Kirchhoff and taking his 18th World Championship victory. Rounding off the podium, Frederik Nielsen finished a very lonely and uneventful race in 3rd place. Dennis Hurl finished a strong race in 4th, securing his best result of the season, and his teammate Mikko Puumalainen held off Blair Disley in the closing stages of the race to claim 5th. Jaakko Miekkinen finished in 7th, just ahead of John-Eric Saxon, and both of the 2 Fast for You drivers of Mohamed Patel and Dimitri de Matos finished inside the top 10. Jim Paresis and Renault Room finished a lap down after a difficult weekend. Bono Kuijs edges further out into the championship lead with a decent chance of securing his 2nd FSR crown in the next round. The battle for 2nd position, however, is far from settled. Miekkinen, Nielsen and Kirchhoff only separated by just 7 points. Puumalainen is also close behind, still well in contention for the silver trophy. Disley's result has cemented his position in the top 10, and John-Eric Saxon's consistency has the Finn holding on to a solid 8th place. Dennis Hurl is now back inside the top 10 after his 4th place finish today. There's been no change in the order of the teams in the Constructors' table. Although Twister earned more points at Germany than Precision, the gap between the 2 teams stands at 143 points, with Precision almost certain to win the top spot. Matcord's impressive race has moved them well clear of 2 Fast for You, and 2 Fast for You are now coming under pressure from ATR Silverline, who are edging closer and closer to 4th position. The next round will be the Hungarian Grand Prix, and you can watch that race live as it happens. Simply go to www.psrtv.com on the 21st of August at 5:30 PM GMT. We hope you've enjoyed today's highlights. I'm Jack Nichols, and we'll see you next week for round 11 of the 2011 Formula Sim Racing World Championship.